There's no evidence in anything the Prime Minister has said, though, that he's raised these geopolitical issues or that he's even stood up for the role of the US in the region. What's your reading of what we've seen publicly? He's talked a lot about what was raised and what wasn't raised in the meetings, and there's just no evidence of those sorts of level discussions.
Well, it will be an embarrassment for Australia if he hasn't raised those issues. If Australia is a country that's played itself out of geopolitics and has become inward-looking and isolationist and selfish, that isn't the role Australia has played in the world. Australia has always been a great champion of liberal democracy and the alliances which hold the security of liberal democracies in their hands, led by the United States. I mean, we always, when we were in government, always made that point to the Chinese. But there is the Prime Minister talking trade, that's fair enough. A couple of human rights issues that I gather he raised, that's fair enough. There's nothing wrong with that. But not talking geopolitics, and not ever having met the President of the United States, it plays Australia completely out of the geopolitical equation. Yet if you want peace in the Indo-Pacific region, you need a strong US-led alliance in the Indo-Pacific region, and as well as elsewhere in the world, in order to balance the growing power of China. But, you know, President Trump is an elected president. President Xi Jinping never had to worry about an election and doesn't have to worry about the next election. So we're neutral, apparently, between those two. That's terribly disappointing.
Extraordinary. I've just got to pick your brains very quickly on the latest developments in the Middle East with the Israeli strikes on the military headquarters in Syria. Of course, there are people lining up around the world to criticise Israel as ever. But isn't this about trying to protect the Arab Druze minorities in Syria?
Why don't people criticise the Syrian military and the Syrian president for killing Druze? There are a lot of Druze in Israel. There are about 150,000 Israeli Druze, and many of them are in the Israeli Defence Force, by the way. They're completely integrated, not Jewish, but they're completely integrated into Israeli society. There are about 700,000 Druze in Syria. And a lot of those Druze live along the border areas with Lebanon and Israel. So, you know, there's a sensitivity there as well. So the Israelis are stopping the Syrian military from massacring the Druze in Syria. And to criticize the Israelis for doing that, that pretty much boils down to anti-Semitism, I'd have to say. Apparently, the lives of the Druze don't matter. The main thing is to criticise the Jews.
Incredible. Thanks for joining us, Alexander. I appreciate it.